Alright guys, first video in my brand new apartment. I had everything set up, I had the posters, it's all good. Let's talk about Return of the King. The Lord of the Rings Return of the King is a film that geeks were just salivating for. I mean, they were just like drooling for this movie. Everyone wanted to see this movie when it came out. I remember going to this movie and I remember the crowds, I remember sitting there, I remember the anticipation level, I remember all of it. It was all at this amazing height of insanity. And this film opens in an interesting way. The first scene in this movie is actually a flashback where you see Smeagol first discovering the ring, and you see what happens the moment he becomes enticed by it. This was interesting because a lot of people may have thought that this would have been a better thing to open the Two Towers with, because that's where you get introduced to Gollum's character. And in Two Towers you see Gollum's love of the ring, and you hear about how he used to be someone else, but you don't really get to know that much about it. Return of the King is really the film where Gollum's character gets fleshed out even more, because you see this opening, you see how he first discovered the ring, and you start to understand why he is so enticed by it and why it's basically his life. And in this film, even more than in Two Towers, Frodo and Sam are continuously drawn apart by Gollum's deception. He keeps making Frodo think that Sam is doing all of these things, and Sam sees that Gollum is, he's a pretty treacherous guy, and Sam gets that. Sam is smart, but Frodo's messed up because of this ring. He's allowing people to deceive him. He's looking at his best friend. He's not understanding who he is anymore. And this adds so much character to this movie. And in my opinion, it's the reason why The Return of the King has the most understanding of the hobbits and has the most depth for the hobbits in this last film. You get to see so much more happen with these two characters in this movie. Meanwhile, everyone who ever lived is preparing for the final battle of Middle-earth, in which basically everyone from every land is going to be going up against Sauron's armies to try to give Frodo and Sam enough time to get that ring to the mountain, to try to buy time for everything to happen correctly, and to basically allow the world of men to survive. Return of the King is my favorite of the trilogy. It's very rare for the third film in a trilogy to actually be the best. It doesn't happen terribly often, and in my opinion, it does here. Return of the King is a movie that just pumps you up so much. Every scene has this great feeling of anticipation, of finality, of just epic standards that you don't see in movies ever. Every time King Theoden is running along the battle lines and he's charging up his men and and the red sun rises! I get so pumped. I just want to take some Gatorade and just That's how pumped I get. But seriously, this movie is so enthralling. Each scene just feels like it's happening. It's there, you're in this moment. And as I said in my Two Towers review, this is really the film where Pippin finally matures, because Merry started to get a little bit more serious in the Two Towers when he was encouraging Treebeard to go to war. Pippin was still a child until Return of the King, when he sees some of the things that happened because of his fault. When he voluntarily puts himself under the submission of this corrupt king, Gandalf just rolls his eyes and is like, I don't believe what's going on here. You finally start to see this character mature into his own. And what does he do? He sings a battle song. It's funny, when I heard about that scene, I was like, really? Pippin sings during the battles? But believe it or not, it actually works. And that's a credit to Peter Jackson, because this movie is directed so well that they can actually show a hobbit singing a song that's completely serious in the midst of this very devastating battle, and it works. What do you know? Now, one of my favorite characters, in fact, probably my favorite character of this whole series, is Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. And this is his film in a lot of ways, because the title, The Return of the King, is in reference to him. And this is a film where he comes into his own as a king. And there is this great scene that is so epic. Every time I see it, I'm like, yes! It's when Aragorn decides to go into the mountain and find those ghostly people and try to enlist them in this war. Legolas and Gimli are standing there like, I don't think so, man. And Aragorn's just like, I do not fear death. And just walks into that mountain, his cape is all blowing. It's incredible. I love that scene. This is the kind of movie where each scene feels like, yes! Like a yes moment. And like where certain movies try to make the audience do that, like the big patriotism movies of today and everything. Like, yeah, they killed the bad guy. Oh, he said the big line. Yay. You're supposed to feel pumped up and everything. And it doesn't always work. Return of the King, every scene has a moment like that where you're just like, Gandalf. Frodo, like I am such a nerd. I don't care. Seriously though, this movie has so much that a film lover would like to see. It's a film that's directed beautifully. It has actors that are taking these really fantastical elements seriously, and it comes off so incredibly well. And it's one of the only times where the Academy has actually recognized a fantasy film of this type. It won every single Oscar that it was nominated for, including Best Picture. That has never happened for, like a geekdom movie of this type ever, and it probably never will. It was really inspiring for me to watch that happen, and as a series, Lord of the Rings films are some of my all-time favorite films. The battle scenes, the characters, the music, the epic scope of all three of these films, they're unparalleled. If you haven't had a chance to see the Lord of the Rings films, but you want to see The Hobbit coming up soon, please check these movies out. You're not going to be disappointed by them, okay? If you are, okay, I guess you're disappointed by them. Whatever. I love them. Return of the King concluded this series beautifully. It, of course, gets an A+. So I'm going to be seeing The Hobbit this Tuesday. My buddy John, the Flick Pick, is going to be coming and seeing it with me and also doing a spoiler-filled review with me. Look forward to that, and as always, if you like this review, then you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.